How's it going, PC Nation? Welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome back to another episode of Unknown History, episode 10. Today we're doing the Finnish War. A lot of people don't know. I got suggested a long time ago to do some Finnish world history, so we're going to do that. I love Finland. It's such an interesting country. But let's talk about the Finnish War. It's called the Finnish War because it lasted from February 21st, 1808 to September of 1809. It lasted a year. It's called the Finnish War because it was between Russia and then the Kingdom of Sweden, who controlled Finland. Basically, the end result was Russia won, and then basically made Finland a puppet borderline state between Russia and Sweden, and that's basically the result of the Finnish War. It was a war during the Napoleonic Wars, so it's a war inside a war. Russia was basically fighting two fronts. You was fighting Napoleon, but you're also fighting, Sweden. Russia had a weird history about wars back in the Russian Empire days, especially under the Tsars, Tsar Nicholas and his grandfather Tsar Alexander, and his father, Tsar Alexander. They had a weird history. Basically, they would get into wars with whoever. They got into war with Japan, and Japan kicked their ass. They got into war with Sweden, and they beat Sweden, but then got Finland, and then eventually got into war with Finland during World War II. So, the country that you eventually had, that eventually got independence from you, also fought against you in the World War that would happen eventually in the 20th century. But a lot of people don't know about the Finnish War. Because when you're a war inside a war, a lot of people don't know a lot about you. French and Indian War, 100 Years' War, those weren't wars inside wars, but this one was just a war inside a war. It even describes itself as that. It was a war between Russia and Finland, between Russia and Sweden. Eventually, for Russia to get Finland, to make Finland its own buffer state between Sweden, the Kingdom of Sweden, and Russia, the Russian Empire, and basically, and then you're also fighting the Napoleonic Wars. When Napoleon's going around, murking a lot of these people, and I just don't know why you're fighting in two wars. Why do you have a lot of history of doing that, Russia? You fight in a war, and then you go fight in another war. Russia has a lot of history of doing that. But that's for a video for another day. It's an interesting war because we eventually got Finland, and we got an independent Finland years later after that. But it was just a war to have a buffer state at the end result. It only lasted a year, almost 2 years. It lasted from February to September, so over a year and a few months. It was interesting, and then that's pretty much the result of it. And then years later, in 1914, they go in, World War I starts. So you go from 1909, and then 5 years later, you're in another war. But this one's a world war. Well, not World War II, the United States joins, but then eventually will become a world war. But yeah, that's pretty much the Finnish War. It's not very long. It's not a very big war. It's just basically that's how we got Finland. Would eventually get Finland. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, press the share button, press the like button, press the subscribe button, press the bell so you know when I upload a video. I want to see you guys next video.